Welcome, all my badass women, mothers. I guess guys who jump on here. I am going to record this podcast slash video. As you know, I have been recording some of my most recent podcasts, which I really haven't had enough time to be consistent with the podcast, which is really, really a struggle for me because I do love it so much. I just don't have the time. And I'm hoping at some point that time will appear out of nowhere and I will get to do the podcast like I was before on a more consistent regimen or schedule or whatever you want to call it. But right now, I'm just putting out content of what I can when I can. And the video part, you guys, is just I had received some feedback that people like to see who's talking. They like to kind of build that bond or have kind of a familiarity with that person by watching a video. And I get that. However, I just want you to know the way I talk with my hands and my crazy faces I make and whatever else I might be doing, it's what you get because it's really not about the video, it's about the content. Just want to put that out there. So you guys, the topic I'm going to discuss today oddly has been coming up in conversations with a lot of different people randomly, and it's maybe because I bring it up. I'm not quite sure. Maybe it is me. But I think it's an interesting one. And this is a topic that could have a lot of debate. And again, I need to say this first. Y'all, never do I get on here and say what I think, what I believe, or what I'm even saying is anything that you have to think, believe, or say. This is my opinion. This is my crazy mind thinking about things in depth, coming up with a reason or a way to maybe combat it based off of my own personal experiences and my background with what I do for a living. Again, you can agree with me and be like, oh, that's an amazing idea. Or you can disagree with me. It doesn't matter if you disagree with me. Actually, I love if you disagree with me. That's the point of having this conversation because I would love to learn from you. I want it to be an open learning experience. I don't try to sit here and be right about everything. Clearly, I'm not right about everything. If you know me, then you know I've got a lot of learning to do. That's why I do this, because I think it's fun to hear what other people think and share my thoughts. So the topic is, our children that we are currently raising, that generation, are we raising them in a way that is going to be a great disservice to them? And is it confounded by all the social media, electronics, all the crazy ass stuff that they have to deal with that we didn't have to deal with during those, I think, most influential years of when we're growing up? And the second part of that, are we aware of how our parenting can make or break this generation for when they're older? And do we think we're going to see things that unfortunately aren't going to be so great? Or are we just the ones that were messed up because our generation had such a different experience and we're just catching up, to how things are so different now, and it's hard for us to kind of accept it and move on. So we'll kind of dive into these topics. But again, I've been having this conversation randomly with a bunch of different friends and influences in my life, and it was so cool to hear similar ideas and feelings and, oh my gosh, yes, that's how my kids behave, and I think this is a problem. And then also hearing some other interesting ways that people are trying to improve it and make sure that we're not leading our kids off a cliff when they're adults. So first we have to say this. Our generation, or my generation, I feel was very different in a lot of ways. I mean, it was just a different time, right? I believe that my parents' generation was really the one kind of taking the climb up the hill, you would say, or working their asses off to build something better for us. So a lot of people during that time, or at least who I was around, were working class, worked their asses off. It was you put your head down, you do the work, you don't complain. That's what it is. You do what you have to do to better your family. And if that meant you don't see one of your parents because they work all the time, that's what it was. And your mom was the one, most usually, that, doing all the stuff at home. And that was okay. And again, that was during a time when women also were making more of an impact in the workplace and kind of coming out of their, I don't know, oppression. It was a weird generation because I think a lot of big changes were on the cusp, and then our parents pushed that over and made it happen for us. But then not only did we take on, women now are getting, big time jobs women used to not have or weren't expected to be accepted in that, arena. But also we were the generation who came out of all the technology, the computers, the cell phones, iPads, all that grew as we were growing. And so I think we find ourselves in this weird spot. It's like I'm born into the ethics and the morals of hard work, put your head down. If you're not dead, then you have to keep trying. That kind of all in mentality. But then I also understand technology and all those advances and can see how the ease of things can make people more lazy. But it's like I'm always fighting those two sides, if that makes sense. So let me step back. So my kids, I don't know about you guys, but when it comes to their generation, so my oldest is 11, my youngest will be 8 in a few days. I feel like they are losing a lot of values that have to do with interacting with others. So empathy, sometimes compassion, and then also the ones that I believe, again, that generation of mine, are a must when it comes to being successful, which is hard work, determination, having to work for a buck, having to understand that you just can't get everything you want. I feel like our kids do not understand that or do not have that in the way that we had it. Now, I think it's because of us having the parents that we had drill into us this mentality of, we don't have enough to do that. We have to work. We have to save. Like, no, you can't have that second pair of shoes. I don't care that your friends all have the new Sambas, those soccer shoes. If you guys know what I'm talking about, you're going to laugh. Or the Umbro shorts or whatever the hell it was that we wanted so bad. But my parents were like, you already have a pair, or you don't need another pair of those. And we were told no a lot more than we were told yes. And so what I think that did is it made me as a parent not only want to be more successful, but I think I got into a bad habit of wanting to give and give and give to my kids because I didn't want them to feel the way I felt of being told no. Not that I thought that was a horrible thing, and obviously it was fine. I think it gave me good values, which I'm saying now I'm realizing is I think my kids are suffering a little bit, but I think it was just a subconscious thing of, well, now I am so lucky I can provide for them, but I overgave. And so they don't have an understanding of, no, you actually have to work for that. And I can't do or buy this thing for you. I have to save for it. And you are going to have to be patient. Patience. They don't have patience. Again, that's a double, I think, combo problem because of the fastness of technology. So you guys, are we a little bit screwed up? Because We were, born in that time where we were privy to a struggle. And so now we overcompensate. That's the first question I have for you all. And the second is, do you feel the same way about our children? Not understanding hard work, like what that really means. And then the other big one I worry about with iPads, social media, and that kind of stuff is, and I've seen this with my oldest, I feel like there's a lack of empathy when the kid's face is in an iPad all day long. And you guys, I'm not going to sit here and judge you how long your kids are on iPad because that doesn't matter. From day to day, it varies. I've tried now because I've been more aware of this, and I think this is coming up more just because I have one that's older and is like a preteen. And let me just tell you, oh my God bless people who have multiple teens at the same time. Like, Jesus, take the wheel. I cannot even begin to describe how far off I was about how this whole preteen teen thing was going to go. It is definitely a challenge. And now I look back and I'm like, oh, my poor mom. Because I was definitely challenging. Could you have guessed that? Anyways, I don't know if I'm more aware now, and this is why I really honed in on this topic, but I definitely think that if you allow your child to be on it every day in electronic and their head is down watching a show, what I think happens is everything that's going on around them in the house, they are unaware of. You guys, I am not kidding when I tell you at one point, it's like a couple months ago, my youngest daughter had a friend over. My oldest daughter's sitting on the couch watching her iPad. She has her headphones on. And the little friend comes into the house. I'm upstairs. I say hi to the little friend, walks right past my oldest. 2 minutes later, I'm like, hey, did you know so-and-so's over here? She's like, no. What do you mean? I'm like, she was standing right next to you. She walked past you. Oh, no, I didn't even see her. I'm like, oh my gosh, get off the iPad right now. Because that's not her reality. Her reality was what was going on in the iPad. And I also think, like, this sounds silly, but in the mornings, for instance, my husband is usually the one that has to get them ready for school and everything because I had to be at work earlier. But they'll eat breakfast, and after breakfast, they get ready, brush their teeth, and they'll watch their iPads. Well, my youngest will watch a show on TV. But I was saying the other day, just that in itself, if my oldest is on her iPad, she is not even having a conversation with her sister. It's not like when we grew up, you watch a cartoon in the morning or a show, you're like laughing at the same thing. You're maybe discussing what's going on this show. You're having some interaction. You're aware of your surroundings, right? But when you have somebody on an iPad, she's not engaging in that morning chatter or laughing together. And there is a definite disconnect. And I worry that that is really hindering empathy of not only her family, but everybody else. It's like a lack of awareness. And that's scary to me. And I really think it's a thing. And so, yes, I think it's fine to let your kids watch iPads. And I think they can be very educational. I mean, all the schoolwork they do are on computers or iPads. That's fine. But I think we should be more aware of these values that are truly being taken away or not even grown into because you need human interaction, real life human interaction to build them. And so I have been very, very aware and making her get off the iPad and have a conversation and hang out with us. And I've been doing this now for like 3 weeks, and I have seen such a difference. She wants to hang out. She wants to, chat. And you can see like she's starting to feel things again. She's not just a robot on an iPad. No, I'm kidding. Sort of. But truly, guys, I would love to hear your thoughts on that. Do you feel the same way that this is happening with your kids? I definitely do. And then the whole grit thing, hard work. I just think that's an us problem. I think that we've overcompensated because of how we were brought up. And it's a hard habit to break, but I think it's an important one that we definitely need to be highly aware of, because my biggest fear is if I don't say no to them and they get everything, they're literally going to believe that it's just so easy. And it's really not that easy, right? We all work our asses off, and we worked our asses off to get here, and they have to understand that. So either it's constant conversations about hard work, which I do try to talk to them about, but it's also making them endure the hard work and patience. You guys, I remember I was probably like maybe 8 or 9, and I had saved all my money from like chores. I mean, I don't know, sweeping, dusting. We did all of that stuff. And I didn't want to spend my money. My sister, opposite. She would like go in and just buy whatever and her money be gone. It was such a big impact on me of working for it, saving it. I had gone to the store, I think, even twice before with my sister. She spent her money. I was like, no, because I knew how long it had taken me to earn that money, that I wanted to make sure I was going to get the thing I wanted. And you guys, it was a big ass Hello Kitty on the top shelf of the Hello Kitty store. And I wanted that. And I got it. And what's crazy is it's still here. It's in my daughter's room. So it was worth the money. It was worth the hard work. It still exists. So anyway, the last thing that I would love to hear your thoughts or feelings on is this idea that also we not only overcompensate when it comes to giving and making sure they have everything that they want, and this, status of, we were told work so hard so that you can be X, Y, or Z. Well, then we believe that that's our value, right? That's our status. And so now we have to provide all of that to our children. But the other thing, the last one I'm going to touch on, is this idea that we want to fix everything for our kids. But here's the thing. If you fix every problem, every heartache, every stressful situation, your children will not be mentally strong, because they do not have to figure it out and think through the problem on their own. You guys, we've all been there. I have a million memories of where shit sucks, but like you have to work through it, and you have to understand what you're feeling, and you have to understand where you make a mistake and how you're going to change that. But if your child has some type of problem going on and you jump in and you provide what's going to happen and how you deal with it, and this is what you should feel, because you've already learned all of that, they won't learn that. Then they literally won't be a person who is mentally tough and able to tackle real world shit. And that one, you guys, I'm pretty firm on, because I feel like I see that as a nurse practitioner. Simple decisions or simple kind of like complications, older children literally turn to their parents. Where I feel like when I was at their age, I was able to handle a lot more and also mentally process it. I just wanted to throw that out there because, again, I think it's this idea that we just don't want them to feel the way we did. We just want to protect them. We just want to, make sure they have a better life than we had. And you guys, that's all great, but you have to understand that we got to where we are because of the struggles. And I know there's a fine line of how much do you make somebody struggle, right? You can give them a little help. One of my friends, I coach with him, we were talking about how this generation will fall down, or they complain about being tired, or whatever. And we laugh because I can never imagine falling down, not getting back up right away, or complaining that I'm tired or it's too hot out, or it's too cold, because I literally was told, if you're not bleeding or I can't see your bones sticking out of your skin, then you are fine. And if you want to be good at a sport, you get out there and you will hustle, and you never complain to the coach. And now that's all they do. But again, it's my kid too doing that. And it's because we don't let them endure being uncomfortable. ever, because we have the tools and the means. And so we just give and we just let them, and so they're not mentally strong, you guys. And I feel like that is on us. And yes, do we need to have bones sticking out? I mean, I'm pretty sure I had a broken foot and my dad was like, here's my old crutches. You guys, it was like green and black for like a month. I mean, it was pretty much broke. That is extreme. That generation, that's extreme. But I think it was just they didn't have the means. They didn't want to go get the x-ray, right? But still, that's, again, we don't need to be doing that. But I think we need to let them fall down. And we need to let them be cold and run around and you'll warm up. And we need to teach them the value of, you have to respect and understand that it takes a lot of hard work to be the best. And you can't complain about every little thing because you're uncomfortable. But they're so used to being comfortable. They don't know how to be uncomfortable. So anyways, guys, now I'm just rambling. But this episode, I just wanted to, hopefully I'll get feedback from you guys. If you agree with some of this, disagree, if you have other thoughts. And then I would love to do a follow-up podcast of your all's thoughts. I just love this topic. And I think as a group, we can grow and learn from this and help each other figure out what we're doing wrong, what we're doing right, what we should be doing better. So you guys, reach out to me. Don't be silent. If you like this, let me know that you like this. If not, that's fine. You do you, boo. And I'm glad to be back. Hopefully I can be more consistent, but I really enjoy doing this and I hope you guys like this episode. All right, guys, we will chat soon.